On Nova. Hurtling around the track at white-hot speed, the Indy racer knows that even the tiniest mistake could be fatal.
If you drive with courage, you'll drive into the wall.
But can they safely engineer a better, faster car? How fast is fast enough?
At 220 miles per hour, you're traveling over a football field a second.
The stakes are high for both driver and machine as racers push the limits of speed in their fast cars.
Funding for Nova is provided by
Merck, dedicated to pharmaceutical research, committed to discovery, improving health, extending life. Merck.
And Lockheed, America's aerospace company, supporting math, science, and engineering education for national technology leadership. Major funding for Nova is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by annual financial support from viewers like you.
Auto racing is a sport that brings human and machine together at the outermost limits of speed. These are Indycars, among the most refined racing machines in the world.
Boy, you don't see these guys race any harder than this. They're really...
This is terrific. Look at this side by side. Whoa! Two world champions battling.
For the elite few who drive these cars, racing is a voyage into an inner resource of mind and body.
I feel sometimes the car is extension of my body. That's what I call the perfect combination. When you can feel every bump, everything the car is feeling on your body, and you get that information in your brain. And when that's happened, you're working like with sixth sense, that even if you're looking ahead, you can feel if someone's coming around you. You know what's happening all around you.
To me, it's the ultimate challenge of existence. And it's hard to describe because when it's right, it's so right, you know, that you are almost in a euphoric state. I mean, it's just you become one with the car and you just go off and, you know, into a Never Land almost. I mean, you're just flowing.
I mean, there's no conscious effort. Everything just seems to happen. Those are fun. It's fun when it's like that.
And you get out of the car and everybody is the greatest person in the world. You get out, take off your helmet. Everybody you see is just terrific because you feel great and the car's responding. And I mean, you feel like Godzilla.
In 1992, driver Bobby Rahal had one of the best seasons of his career. In a 16-race series, he placed well and won 4 times to become the Indycar champion. But Rahal wanted more. He wanted to win in a car of his own design. Phoenix International Raceway, November 9th, 1992. Rahal's hopes for defending his championship and winning the 1993 Indy 500 rest on this car. Today, it will be tested on a remote racetrack in the Arizona desert. From years of experience, Rahal knows that every other team will challenge him with better, faster cars and exploit even the smallest advantage. Most Indy cars are designed and built by a single company in England. This car is one of a kind. The creation of a group of young engineers. It's a challenge that few take on. To meet it, Rahal has assembled a talented team which includes computer experts, design engineers, and a race car aerodynamicist.
Put that 5 element on just to have him see what he says about it on the new car. And see if we can balance it also.
Rahal's partner in this bold experiment is Rahal Hogan.
All of racing is trying to get a little something more than someone else has, and it's a challenge that we've accepted. It's a challenge that we hope we will meet head on and will conquer, and if we do, it'll be wonderful.
There's an exclusivity to it that, from a development standpoint, if nothing else, makes it better, although you live and die by it too, you know, in the sense that if it's not good, you can't go copy someone else either. Well, it'd be nice if this works, huh?
The car's test begins with the first joining of Rahal and his machine. The team has already spent 3 weeks designing a seat that is perfectly contoured to his body.
Yeah. We should just get out, put the other one in just so you feel the difference right now, but it looks like you.
The seat's very important because if you're flopping around, you can't read what the car's saying. You've got to be in there and you've got to really feel. And the only way you can do that is by having a very good seat. You don't sit in this car, you wear it.
Over $4 million has already been invested in Rahal's car. Its chassis is made of space-age carbon fiber. Its engine is no larger than our everyday sedans, yet it produces an astounding 800 horsepower. The team uses both radar and computers to help monitor the car's performance, but Rahal's seat-of-the-pants feel for the car will be the first real indication of its potential and the changes that may improve it.
Want to try just some overall downforce or the the delta plates?
The only thing I would say is that either it may want more rear spring
to get it to turn,
to help it down in there. And I'm thinking this understeer you get right at the end, the thing's just sitting there and squat, you know,
falling over on the right rear too hard.
I think, my opinion, the most important thing for the driver is to describe to the engineer who is working with him at the track what the car is doing on every part of the track.
A good test driver has the ability to go out and drive consistently every lap so that he can feel the changes. And that's something that Bob has the ability to do, is go out and run a determined number of laps in the same way and tell you what's going on. It's so important.
I think the steering's so slow that I'm missing it a little bit. You know, I'm not used to having to turn so much. Remember at Indy when we tried that? Mm-hmm. I could never get it into the corner.
Too high.
Because I was always late.
Is that the right thing? I mean, are we hitting on the right thing?
That helped.
Okay.
On this first test day, Rahal reports an uncomfortable feeling in the corners. And this is reflected in his lap times. The new car is 0.4 of a second slower than last year's car. Although it seems a tiny margin, compounded over a 500-mile race, the new car would be 7 miles behind at the finish. Rahal's problem is traction. The car doesn't provide the grip he needs to push it to the limit in the corners. It's a problem that any professional IndyCar driver understands.
Anybody can drive in a straight line at 200 miles per hour. You could get in that Indy car and somebody could strap you in and you could drive at 200 miles per hour in a straight line. You just go, shift to gears, get into 6th gear, step on the throttle, and it will go 200 miles per hour very easily. You could do it today. But the limit in racing is cornering speed, not straightaway speed. It's the corners that make the driver in the car.
The solution to cornering speed came from an unexpected source. As a teenager, Jim Hall built model airplanes. Later, his experience with these models would stimulate a revolution in race car design.
I think it's basically total background that allows you to make a decision to go forward with an innovation of any kind. I think I've always been curious about things. I can remember my mom telling me that I took everything apart when I was a small child. She said she'd come in and find the alarm clock all over the floor or something else taken apart. And of course I wasn't capable of putting it back together in those days, but I am now. And I always wondered, well, how does this work? What makes that happen? Why does that do that?
Sebring, Florida, 1965. At the age of 29, Hall's curiosity has impelled him to take on the giants of international sports car racing. In a world dominated by Ferrari, Porsche, and Ford, Hall wins this prestigious 12-hour endurance race in a car that he built himself in Texas. The car is named after a bird that is native to the American Southwest, the roadrunner, or chaparral.
When we built the first chaparral, it had a tremendous amount of lift in the front end. In fact, on the straightaway, I could take it down above 150 miles an hour. I could turn the wheel from side to side like that, and it wouldn't even affect the car. The car would just go straight on. So it was almost lifting the front wheels right off the ground.
In the 60s, race cars approached 200 miles an hour, the result of more powerful engines and streamlining. But there was a price to pay. In their quest for speed, the designers had shaped their cars like wings, a shape that made them dangerously unstable.
The cars were built low to the ground and flat on the bottom. And in so doing, they created lift, because when you got a flat surface on the bottom and a curved surface on the top, the air has to go farther over the top and therefore lower pressure, and the car lifts. And I guess the engineers at the time basically accepted that that was fact. That was the way life was going to be.
But not for Jim Hall. In 1966, he introduced a new chaparral, one with a wing.
Look at Jim Hall, moving past Bruce McLaren and taking the lead in the race for the first time today. Boy, he's got him, that's for sure.
The chaparral's performance was brilliant, especially its ability to corner faster than other cars.
Let's see if Hall can hold it. Boy, he sure is holding it. He's pulling away from Bruce. Look at that.
What you're trying to accomplish is to load the car down into the ground with the aerodynamic force, so that the adhesion that the tires have is greater than it would have just from the weight of the car. And that allows you to corner and stop more quickly, because you've just got more friction with the ground.
Hall's idea was elegantly simple. The rear wing deflected the force of the wind downward into the tires, increasing friction and stability. Today, this is called aerodynamic downforce. Modern Indy cars have front wings too, which provide even more downforce. But the most radical advance was the addition of Venturi tunnels, a reshaped underbody to speed up the airflow between car and ground. This created an area of low pressure, which literally sucked the car downward toward the pavement. In high-speed corners, a modern Indy car develops over 2 tons of downforce. More than enough so that it could stick to the pavement even if the track were turned upside down. 2 months after the first test, Ray Hall is back at Phoenix with a modified version of his car. His lap times have improved significantly. The car is becoming competitive. At the end of the day, Ray Hall goes out for one last set of laps. Entering turn 1, at more than 170 miles an hour, he suddenly loses control.
Bobby's a bit sore in the shins and not very happy probably with himself, but you know, I guess just reached the limit of the car, and unfortunately the back end stepped out on it. You know, that stuff does happen, and we'll let him have one now and then. You know, make sure he's pushing it to the limit.
Oh, it just snapped. You know, got away from me. It's happened before, but although I must say it didn't give you a lot of warning. You know, it was 1 second it was good, and a split second later it was gone. You know, we attributed that to a change we made, but same token, you'd like to think that the thing wasn't that. You'd like to build some forgiveness into it, I think, you know.
Ray Hall's problem is the most dangerous kind of instability that a driver can face. A car that is loose. Without warning, the rear swerves out and the car spins uncontrollably. This is triggered by a lack of grip in the rear tires. The opposite condition is called push. The front wheels lose grip and the car pushes into the wall nose first.
What you like in a race car is for it to go through the corner without the tail sliding too much or without the front pushing off too much. So it requires a balance of forces between the front and the rear tires.
A car can be balanced by adjusting its wings. Tilting the front wing, for example, increases downforce and traction on the front tires. Tilting the rear wing increases the grip of the rear tires. The trick is to fine-tune the wing settings to balance the grip front and rear.
When the car is doing everything it's supposed to do, aerodynamically and all the works, then you drive through a corner and it's doing what you want. I mean, it's all yeses, yes, yes, yes. It's responding to your will.
This unique merging of mind and machine occurs only when a driver has total confidence in his car. It is a singular act of faith performed under the constant threat of extreme physical danger. Passing is the most dangerous maneuver on any track. It is also the key to winning. The accepted norm is that an overtaking driver must place his front wheels beside the cockpit of his opponent in order to take the lead. And they must often accomplish this maneuver in a corner where their car is at its most precarious point of balance and the driver is under extreme physical stress. On high-speed tracks, once every 10 seconds, a driver endures cornering loads of almost 4 Gs. 4 times the force of gravity.
Our heartbeat goes up to 180 beats per minute when you're driving fast. And to be able to concentrate, to focus, when you're physically tired, the last hour of the race, it requires like an athlete. People don't realize that most of the racing drivers are like a marathon runner.
Yeah, those numbers are looking real good.
Real good. Nice and steady.
At Human Performance International in Daytona, an aspiring IndyCar driver works out to exhaustion in a test of his physical stamina. His heart rate will be brought up to 190 beats per minute, just 10 beats faster than what an IndyCar driver must endure for hours on end.
Good job, good job.
Looking good.
Make it happen.
190.
Okay. All right, good. Good job, good job.
Sports physiologist Jacques Dallaire studies the physical requirements of driving an IndyCar.
2 minutes of recovery. Nice and easy, nice and easy.
We see such elevated heart rate responses in drivers during a race because it's a composite of a number of factors. Sure, there is an emotional element to that, a fear element, if you will, an anxiety, an excitement, motivation. But that really represents a very low percentage of that maximum heart rate. Blood is a tissue. It has a mass. It's influenced by gravity as well. The G-forces cause the driver to exert tremendous isometric contractions. The breath holding that takes place in bracing, going into a corner under heavy braking, the high heat load under which they must work. Drivers can lose as much as 1 to 1.5 liters of fluid per hour in a race car. All of these factors influence in a negative way the return of blood to the heart. Because the body has to compensate for that low output by the heart, it spins up the system and says, beat faster, we need more. So the heart rate goes up, maintains the blood volume necessary to do all that physical work. It's a lot more physically demanding than most people appreciate.
As far as what the experience is like, the physical experience, it's like sitting on an exercise bike, wearing some kind of a sweatsuit that, you know, makes you really hold your heat in, and you put about 2 15-pound weights in your hand, put a helmet on your head, and just sit there for about 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on, you know, how long you can tolerate that. And you move those weights, you pedal that bike, get your heart rate up to about 85% of your max capacity, and then have somebody with a bullpen hammer beating on your body and your head. Because with the vibrations and all the things that go in the car, the G-forces and the vibrations, that's the kind of abuse your body's getting.
Garden City Boxing Gym, San Jose, California. With the racing season about to begin, Willy T. Ribbs trains for the mental and physical demands of competition.
To be a great fighter, I think you have to have a controlled aggressiveness, and that's the same with being a racing driver. I think you have to pick your spots in boxing to be able to win, and you have to pick your spots in racing to be able to pass. You have to, at the exact right moment, you gotta go by a guy before you get to the corner. That's picking your spots. Or if he starts to slip a little bit, you get up underneath him. I mean, it's all split-second movement. And it's the same with boxing.
Racing is really this blend, this mix of total aggression, brute force, energy, I mean, everything imaginable in that category or that side of the scale, mixed with finesse and precision and concentration and a real touch and feel.
Lyn, we're going to measure the magnitude of...
So first you have to fine-tune the ability to be able to coordinate your vision and your physical reaction to things, and do that quickly and smoothly with split-second timing and precision. And then the ability to react to the unexpected.
23, total error, 27.
For a race driver, one mental quality is essential above all others: an accuracy of timing that may be unequaled in any other sport.
23.
Lyn St.James works with sports psychologist Dan MARISI to improve her timing skills.
25.
In this test, Lyn must hit a button at the exact moment when the lights reach the end of the track. The accuracy that is necessary in racing is so refined that it's measured in milliseconds, 1/1000th of a second.
Timing is critical in any activity or sport. Even in the world of business, timing is critical. When you're going at speed, 200 miles an hour, 220, 230 miles an hour, timing becomes even more critical.
At 220 miles per hour, you're traveling over a football field a second. Over a football field a second. So in a split second, I mean, by the time you've made a reaction with the steering wheel, you've gone 50 yards or more.
March 21st, 1993, Surfers Paradise, Australia.
All right, the field comes into alignment now. The first race of the Indycar season is about to begin. The green flag comes out.
This is the first of 3 races that lead to the big test at Indianapolis. Here, Rahal and his new car are joined for the first time in competition. On this course, temporarily laid out over city streets, the car finishes in 6th place. A good result for its first time out.
So now the field comes into full alignment. Scott Goodyear, his first pole, brings the field toward the green flag.
But 2 weeks later at Phoenix, on the same track where Rahal crashed while testing the car, the results are quite different.
Rahal goes a lap down to the leaders very early on in this fight.
Let it be remembered that Rahal, right there in the center of your screen, we're on board with him now, won this race last year, and his success on the 1-mile ovals was the centerpiece of his championship effort. He is not doing well here today, and this is going to imperil his chances for defending his championship.
After only 29 laps, Rahal's car has become so loose that he is in danger of hitting the wall.
Comes in as well. Of course, he's been struggling with his car throughout the day.
Rahal is forced to abandon the race. A serious setback for the team. Two weeks later, it's Long Beach, California. On a race course similar to the one in Australia, the car reveals its true potential for the first time.
This is turning into an outstanding performance for Rahal. Suddenly, as you said, he's menacing for third.
We did some good testing after Phoenix, and we started to get some feedback that started to tell us a little bit about the car. And then Long Beach, I think the whole weekend, each day we made progress and we could see it, and we started to feel good inside that we were starting to do something right. And Bobby drove a beautiful race, and we had good pit stops, we had good strategy.
During the last laps of the race, Rahal moves into second place. The team knows that the car has made a big step forward.
Went from the lowest low at Phoenix to pretty good high at Long Beach. If nothing else, it just shows the intricacies and the sophistication involved and how the smallest things can make the biggest differences. And all this is shown this month, I think, in my estimation, is that while there are some very good things about the car, there are some things that aren't very good.
The car's failure at Phoenix haunts the team, in spite of near victory at Long Beach. Day and night, during the few weeks that remain before the Indy 500, they seek an answer. Is the problem mechanical? A defective part, perhaps, or is it more basic? A flaw in the car's overall design? The first clues come from computers that have captured the car's performance during each of the 3 races. By superimposing this record of performance on the layout of the tracks themselves, a pattern begins to emerge. Australia and Long Beach are twisting road courses, with high-speed straights and tight corners taken at slow speeds. The need for aerodynamic downforce is much diminished. The car's basic suspension becomes critical. And here, Rahal's new machine performed brilliantly. But ovals are built for constant high speed. In the corners, a car must produce enough balanced downforce to maintain its traction and stay on the course. And this is where Rahal's car may be failing.
After this month, and after Phoenix, you know, I think you would say, I think we've got a pretty good road racing car, but I don't think we have a very good high-speed car, and we need to address that issue.
To help solve the problem, aerodynamicist Gary Grossenbacher has designed a rear wing that he hopes will increase downforce at Indy. With little time left before the Indy 500, the wing is tested at Ohio State University's wind tunnel. It's attached to a sensor that will measure both the downforce and drag that the wing generates. Giant fans at one end of the wind tunnel produce an airflow of 150 miles an hour. Not quite up to the speeds at Indy, but fast enough to evaluate the wing's performance. The team seeks a trade-off between downforce, which is needed in the corners, and drag, which slows the car on the straights. Unfortunately, it's extremely difficult to increase one without the penalty of an increase in the other.
The other wings we've run, we haven't realized lift coefficients like this on the order of 1.1 to 1.2.
The wing's efficiency is measured by a ratio, which compares downforce, also called negative lift, against drag. For 226 pounds of negative lift, the wing generates only 30 pounds of drag, a ratio of 7 to 1.
Preliminary indications are that this is better, significantly probably.
But Grossenbacher knows that a wind tunnel simulates only the most ideal of conditions. What will happen when the wing is attached to the car? How will it affect overall balance on the track? Time has run out. The team must answer these questions in the heat of competition. Gasoline alley at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Working for a month, Rahal's team has practically produced a whole new car, which they hope will solve the problems experienced at Phoenix. Its underbody has been shaped to correct the car's dangerous instability. A new rear wing and a revised front wing complete the aerodynamic package. Grossenbacher is anxious to find out how these changes will perform on the track. Rahal's top speed at the end of the long straight is good, 232 miles an hour. So aerodynamic drag has been reduced. But from the cockpit, Rahal reports the car is pushing in the corners, as if it might swing wide and hit the wall.
Especially as I started to go quicker, I didn't think that the car was, like I came in there and I'm going, holy shit. You know, I mean, it went through there all right, but it just, everything seemed to be happening real quick. Now that could be me. Yeah. But even getting into 2 was better now. But I still need to tie it, make it a little more comfortable everywhere.
Those are some pretty big lifts, really. Look at in the 3, the wobble.
Rahal's discomfort is reflected in computer data that records his performance all around the track.
That's the first lift on the throttle.
The computer shows that Rahal is lifting his foot from the throttle in the corners. His speed is almost 15 miles an hour too slow.
Another lap, like we were doing.
Your corner speed in turn 1 and 2 is really low. And all I'm saying is, you know, I appreciate you saying that when you come out of the corner, it was way down in revs, because obviously the corner speeds are low.
The car tried to get away from me, and I really had to get out of the throttle. It's been a frustrating experience for us.
Well, that's before we took the wing out.
As you turn into the corner, the car begins to roll and pitch, where it begins to tuck the front end, and as it does, the left rear comes up and gives the car a very unsettled feeling, which is what we have been sort of feeling with this car all along. This could be a chassis imbalance, could be an aero imbalance. You know, they're not separable. You know, one can lead to the other.
Under the terrific forces of cornering, a car pitches and rolls, continuously changing the relationship of the Venturi tunnels and wings to the track. This affects the distribution of downforce on each of the car's 4 tires. To minimize a car's motion, adjustments are made to the suspension. But these adjustments will, in turn, affect the car's aerodynamic balance in ways that are difficult to predict. So many adjustments are possible, and the relationship to aerodynamic balance is so complex that finding the car's perfect setup is extremely difficult. And at Indy, where the cars enter these corners at more than 220 miles an hour, finding it is critical.
Well, I've been told that, particularly in driving an Indy car, that if you drive with courage, you'll drive into the wall. You have to really feel what the car's doing, and you have to really be in tune with the car. When the car's right, the car's easy to drive.
But when that car is wrong, and I mean 100,000ths of an inch wrong, I mean 2 degrees wrong in the wings or something, right? When the car is wrong, then it's going to be very evil.
Thursday, May 13th. After struggling all week, Rahal's team finds the elusive balance he needs to drive fast. In the cool at the end of the day, he turns 1 golden lap at 220.5 miles an hour.
We felt we had made progress and that the car was beginning to respond to things.
Just because of the bottoming in 3 mostly? Oh, that red car, yeah.
You know, you do one thing and you get an effect, and it's a positive effect. We were running competitively with what other people could run in the main.
We're into the real fine-tuning now. We're in that window that we need to be in. And yesterday to today, we picked up a little over 2 miles an hour with some very small changes. And so from there, hopefully the next 3-4 miles an hour is the same thing, just small changes.
But the temperature rises on Friday, the day before qualifying. In the heat, car reveals an evil side of her nature once again. Rahal struggles to achieve 216 miles an hour.
Rahal 214.
Friday, weather changes, what have you, different story. You know, the car all of a sudden doesn't respond to what we did the previous day. It doesn't, you know, do what we think it's going to do.
On a cooler day, we seem to be able to dial the car in pretty good. We get pretty good grip, we get pretty good downforce. It seems when the weather gets warm, gets hot, this car is more sensitive than some of the other cars we've had.
Maybe need a little more overall downforce.
Okay. All right, well, all we can do in the front right now is go up into gurney with these wings.
Finding the precise adjustments to balance a car at Indy is like playing a chess game in 3 dimensions. One dimension is the car's aerodynamics. Another, its suspension. And the third is the changing environment in which the car must operate. All Indy cars are sensitive to temperature changes. As the temperature increases, air density decreases, so the wings and underbody produce less downforce. In the heat, Rahal feels his car once again pushing outward toward the wall.
And I still need, I think, more overall downforce.
This is the last day of testing before qualifying. The situation is now critical.
It's very inconsistent. He doesn't really have the confidence to just drive it into the corner. He doesn't know where he's going to end up with it.
It depends on the day. You know, one day I have confidence in it, one day I don't, because when the day it doesn't react the way you think it's going to react, then all of a sudden you're saying, oh, well, what in the hell's it going to do?
May 16th, 1993. With the car's problems still unsettled, Rahal must attempt his first qualifying run. As he takes to the track, his team is concerned not only for his speed, but for his safety. He qualifies in 25th place out of 33 cars that will be allowed to race. His speed, 217.2, is disappointingly slow. During the next week of practice, the solution to the car's problems continues to elude the team.
You know, I'm just sort of emotionally wrung out right now. It's a little frustrating. It seems like we're always a day behind.
If we can get the push out of it, I mean, it's instant lap speed. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
You know, we're used to running up front. We're used to qualifying well. And right now, it's very frustrating and maybe even somewhat embarrassing, truthfully.
We were up against the wall, and you know, you don't get the results you're looking for. So that, you know, everybody gets a bit disappointed because of that. You just want to take a set and throw around the corner.
Yeah. As the cars begin their 10-mile qualification run.
I know. Just don't know why I want to do that. I don't know why I want to do that.
It has been a very difficult month. I can't tell you how many nights I've awakened at 3 in the morning wondering, thinking, what is it? What is it looking for?
In the waning night hours, the car is completely torn down in a futile search for a broken part that might explain its deviant personality. The mechanics name her Sybil because of her changing temperament. Stable and poised for a few laps, only to turn dangerously inconsistent on the next.
Over 220 miles an hour.
The last day of qualifying. 33 cars will be allowed to race, and 33 cars have now qualified, with several yet to go. Rahal is in last place. If just one car beats his speed, he'll be out of the race. 6 cars try, 6 cars fail in the last hour before the track closes. His slot in the race now seems secure. But now driver Eddie Cheever begins his qualifying run. Cheever is Rahal's most formidable opponent. He is experienced and courageous. And in this last-ditch effort, he is determined to qualify. Cheever presses to the limit.
It is fast enough. The defending national champion and former Indy winner Bobby Rahal. What story the next 10 minutes will bring?
Uncertain about his car's performance, Rahal must once again attempt to qualify. The morning has been overcast and cool, but now, as Rahal takes to the track, the clouds thin and the temperature rises. This will be the last qualifying attempt. Rahal will have 4 timed laps to average better than 217.23 miles an hour. Rahal's first lap is 217.36, just fast enough. On the next lap, his car becomes unstable in turn 4 and swings wide toward the wall. Rahal lifts off the gas. His speed drops to 216.8, 4/10 of a mile an hour too slow. On the last 2 laps, he struggles to make up the difference.
Now for the complete story on Bobby Rahal. 4th lap, back up to 216, but it's too slow. He is not on the start.
Bobby Rahal is out of the race. Neither Rahal or his team has ever experienced such a defeat. After 7 months of unceasing effort, it leaves them stunned. In this moment of humiliation, rival consoles rival. Beneath the veneer of fierce competition, these are comrades in arms. Seconds from the worst defeat in his racing career, Rahal chokes back his emotion to present a trackside interview.
It's going to be an odd Memorial Day for me, not being in this race, but we'll be back next year. I just, it's going around, you know, you saw the people in the stands clapping, and that's what makes this place so special to the fans. So I'd like to thank them for backing us this month, and we'll go get them again.
Racing is a cruel sport, Rahal has often said. A sport in which winning is everything. But in this moment of defeat, he shows there is much more to being a true champion. Memorial Day weekend, 1993. The 77th running of the Indianapolis 500. More than 500,000 spectators are gathered here, more than for any other sporting event in the world. In just a few moments, the drivers will be called to their cars.
In reality, other than the fact that it's the biggest race in our careers, it's just another race. You do the same thing for this race that you would do for any other race. It's a little harder to execute, because there's more distractions, there's more demands, there's more commotion, there's more of everything. But there isn't anything special you have to do. You just have to do what you do better and just be able to call it up. So, you know, I'm cool.
The one thing about racing that's different from other sports, you cannot hear in your own world. Once your helmet's on and engine's fired up, you're tuned into that, whether you want to be tuned into it or not, because you can't see the outside world and you can't hear it. I mean, it's like going into Twilight Zone because you have locked yourself out of humanity. For 2 hours, you're in that world, and it's not until the race is over that you come back to Earth and come back to humanity again.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your race.
I do a mentalization, visualization before the race. That's to clear the mind of everything else that you have before you drive the car. I think you cannot see the photography, you cannot see the press around you. You have to be blind at that time. I try to visualize things that has to happen, because I think our brains work as a computer. If you project the image before, when things happen, you already know that they are going to happen. You're not behind, you're on top of the situation.
We're just about ready to go. Here they come through turn 4. They're lined up perfectly. The crowd roars. They stand. The engine...
Emerson Fittipaldi begins the race cautiously, allowing other drivers to sprint into the lead. He runs in 7th place. He knows this race is a test of endurance that will unfold over the next 2.5 hours.
Well, in other sports, you always get a chance to have some kind of a timeout or a chance to recover. In racing, there is none of that. There's no chance for recovery. There's no chance to kind of gather your wits about you, so it's incredibly intense.
Lyn St.James stops in the pits for fuel and tires. A little over halfway through the race, she is running in the middle of the pack in a solid 17th place.
That's Lyn St.James that sits just ahead of Mansell. Emerson Fittipaldi just passed by Mansell.
With 50 laps now remaining, Fittipaldi moves forward to duel with the leaders.
Fittipaldi inches up on Scott Brayton.
Bobby, we've talked about the engine battle.
More than inches up now as Fittipaldi moves inside Brayton and moves around him. So now Fittipaldi into 3rd place.
During the race, your brains have to work on 3 different channels. What the car is doing at that present moment. What you have to do the next 2 or 3 seconds ahead of you. When you're looking a corner, you have to anticipate 2 or 3 seconds. That's the 2nd channel. And the 3rd channel is the strategic for the race. When you're going to come to the pit, who is behind you, who's ahead of you, where you are, how much fuel you have on board. And it's difficult to work the 3 channels together, but you have to do it.
In one of the most dangerous moments of his race, Fittipaldi passes Mario Andretti in turn 1.
Sitting up high, Fittipaldi comes down to the inside, and they battle side by side. Fittipaldi and Mario. That's Fittipaldi surges to the front. Mario back to 2nd.
There is a trust factor that you have between each other. There's an unwritten code. I want to beat you, and you want to beat me. But this is where the line is drawn. In that respect, you can call it a bond. You definitely do not go to harm each other. At all. At all.
Not going to be a cakewalk for Nigel, though. Right behind him is Fittipaldi.
With only 20 laps to go, Nigel Mansell leads, but Fittipaldi is 2nd.
We'll stay with you now. The remaining 20 laps. They've just completed the 180th. 50 miles to go in the Indy 500.
Racing, it takes 100% of everything that you've got to work with. And then there's the whole mechanical part of it. I mean, that's only you as the human being, and then you gotta become one with the mechanical piece of equipment that you basically are in control of but have no control of.
With the race entering its final laps, a yellow flag signals danger on the track.
Yellow once again. The yellow light has winked on, apparently for Lyn St.James.
There's Lyn St.James, a great run. Very disappointing for her to go so deep into it.
About the time you think you got your act together, something will go wrong, guarantee, and will throw you a curve. You think you've got it handled, and then the engine quits or the tire goes.
Lyn's transmission has failed. Her retirement brings a pause in racing while her car is cleared from the track. The drivers now line up according to their race positions. A green flag will signal the restart, a critical moment which the leaders will seek to exploit.
This restart, it'll be critical. And here they come, the green flag flies.
We are back to racing, and Emerson Fittipaldi makes a move on Nigel Mansell. He's got him going into one, but Leonike is also right there. Oh, they went side by side, and Mansell fell all the way back to third place. Gary, we got him coming right at you.
When I took the lead, I knew everything I had to do. From the time I would start putting the power down in turn 3, to pull away from that, it has to be perfect. I could not miss a gear. I had to put it at the right time. And I think all my intuition, all my anticipation was focus.
The white flag is out. One more lap to go for Emerson Fittipaldi. Half a lap to go. The fans on their feet waving to Emerson Fittipaldi. Smoothly down to the right line, out to the wall, heading to turn 4 for the final time.
Emerson Fittipaldi, he's coming through 4. He's smooth as glass. He heads to the start-finish line, the checkered flag.
Emerson Fittipaldi takes the checkered flag and wins the 77th running of the Indianapolis 500. What a race! Won this afternoon by Emerson Fittipaldi.
I did the quickest lap 2 laps before the end. That showed how much I had everything on my surface, on my feeling, and was great. I think that was the best I had done for many, many years of racing. And I think all my intuition, all my anticipation was focus. With all that pressure I had, I mean, be leading Indy the last 20 laps, a lot of pressure in anybody. I mean, any human being would be a lot of pressure there.
For Lyn St.James, the race is a victory in spite of her car's failure. By lap 176, she had climbed to 15th place, a performance that shows she has what it takes to race with the best drivers in the world. Willy T. Ribbs finished 21st, but for him, this is just the beginning. He'll be back next year, and with more experience, he looks forward to climbing to the top. For this elite group of drivers, racing is a passion that carries them beyond the boundary of the physical world into a singular moment of harmony at the very limit of their potential. By the end of the '93 season, Bobby Rahal placed 4th in championship points, a remarkable recovery from his defeat at Indy. For the moment, Rahal has abandoned the dream of building his own car, but his quest continues. Just a month after the series ends, the team secretly tests a new engine. It is an irony that a sport that seems so fierce may demand the most delicate touch. That a contest that seems so individual cannot be won without the enduring effort of so many others. That as our machines evolve, they may push us yet to a new realization of our own human potential.
Teachers, educational institutions, and organizations can purchase this program and many other NOVA programs for $19.95 plus shipping and handling. To order a video cassette, call 1-800-255-9424. a production of WGBH Boston. Funding for NOVA is provided by Lockheed, America's aerospace company, supporting math, science, and engineering education for national technology leadership.
And by Merck, dedicated to pharmaceutical research, committed to discovery, improving health, extending life. Merck.
Major funding for NOVA is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by annual financial support from viewers like you.
This is PBS.